morning, Spiritual Life Center. Welcome to the SLC Sunday Experience. You are in the right place at the right time, and your soul is welcome here. Is that right, Ann?
That's right. Just where you're meant to be, whether you're live streaming or here in person. Guess who's joining us again today? Kayla Rhodes. And can you believe that it is another month? We're in the month of July. Reverend Deborah has a wonderful talk today. You're in for a treat. Let's sing about how we're all welcome here. Let me go. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. In the right place, I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh my soul, oh my soul is welcome here. Oh my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome. Your soul is welcome. All souls are welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. All right. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh my soul is welcome. Oh my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh my soul is welcome here. Oh, you know my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome. I'm getting the message. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome. Put your hands together if you know you're welcome. My soul is welcome here. You know my soul is welcome here. Yes, it is. My soul is welcome here. My soul, your soul is welcome here. Everybody is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
Well, a toasty good morning to you all. It's a beautiful, toasty day, and Patty Peters, thank you for joining me on the platform this morning.
Well, I'm very glad to be here, Reverend Deborah Phillips. Oh, it's a day. Okay, let's settle in.
Yes, ma'am.
We greet you in the name of all that is good, all that is sacred, and all that is holy, and in the warm and loving energy of our community, Spiritual Life Center. Spiritual Life Center honors all people, worshiping in temples, mosques, stone circles, churches, and the beautiful temples of nature, because we know there is no space that God does not grace. If this is your first time joining us, online or in person, we especially welcome you because we know that we are not here by accident. We are all here by divine appointment. And if you would kindly silence your electronic devices and no flash photography during the service, please.
So let's take a moment now to center ourselves in prayer, allowing the outside world to drop away for this hour, knowing that we come together to discover our personal freedom, to declare our spiritual independence, because we know that when we live from the inside out, that is us being who we are, and that is what gives us that freedom. And we are very grateful for the opportunity to come together and do this in community, because when we do it together, when we come together, we grow, we expand, we share. We bring joy, and we bring insight, and we bring love. And there can't be anything really better than that. And so we say thank you, God. Amen. Spiritual Life Center has a mission that we say together each week: to transform lives, to make a positive difference in the world as we love, serve, and remember. And we carry out that mission through the practicing the 5 unity principles. And we say these together each week to help, bring them into our own consciousness. And it also, when someone asks what we do here, it helps you talk about it a little bit. So let's say these together. God is absolute good and everywhere present. People are inherently good. Thoughts create our experiences. Prayer and meditation are how we connect with God, and we must take action. Okay, July babies, stand up.
If you were born in the month of July, we would like to sing happy birthday for you. I noticed that Paula is standing, and she is also a July baby. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to ya.
And we would really like to thank Shirley Brown for the first of every month. She goes and gets flowers and makes a beautiful arrangement to decorate our altar. And so this is Shirley's arrangement for this month. Thank you, Shirley.
So our Wow Wednesday this week is something that normally Patty would be introducing, but since she's part of the program, she wants me to do this. So a couple of weeks ago, we were just having a casual girl chat. And she told me the story of when she was doing some daycare work at her home, she saved a baby from dying from SIDS, saved the baby's life. Great story. And then she said, and then there was this other time when I saved someone's life. And I'm going, okay, cool. And then she tells me of another incident. And then she says, they all happened in the same week. And I thought, we have to bring her to Wow. We need this whole story. And the really interesting part to me is that it was before she was really involved in any kind of spirituality. She was very young. So Patty and I are going to sit down Wednesday night, and we're going to talk about this. So the community meal is at 6, and the program is at 7. Thank you. You're welcome.
And join us Friday, July 14th for Live and Thriving Bingo. It lasts from 7 to 8:30, and it's in person only. Please invite your family and friends so it can be just a wonderful event with lots of people. They'll play different bingo in addition to regular bingo, like four corner, cross, X, and blackout. And there's prizes available. And you can register at the hub or online. And the reason we need to register before the event is so that they can set the tables and know how many people will be there. So you don't have to pay right away, but please register, and you can do it, like I said, out in the courtyard or online. And if you need to cancel after you've registered, call the office to cancel, please.
So we have a community meeting coming up. It is the mid-year financial update. And, we try to figure out how do we make this an exciting announcement. And the truth is sometimes when something's really important, we can't make it that exciting. So I came up with 3 reasons why you would want to come to the meeting. Excuse me. One is you'll find out about our financial health. Second of all, you'll find out what our plans for going forward are. And of course, you can ask any questions that you might have about our finances. So that is July 23rd. It is Sunday, right after church, and it goes from 1 to 2:30. So everyone is invited to come to that. Thank you.
And now I would like to introduce Pam Logan, who will talk about this month's community giving partner.
Good morning, everybody. I am so pleased today to introduce Levi Chapman, who is on the board and works he volunteers for Kelly's Cookies. And Kelly's Cookies is a great organization that supports at-risk and foster youth to get a solid footing on their career, whether it's sales or baking and other things. And he'll tell you all that. I did want to remind all of you that you can play an important role in nominating nonprofits for us to consider, for our committee to consider. It only takes a couple minutes. All you have to do is go online. There's a nomination form. You don't have to know anything about the organization, just the name, and we'll take it from there. So please do that. We really appreciate that, and that allows you to play a real role in our giving. So here is Levi Chapman.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to be here. I really appreciate it. As Pam said, my name is Levi, and I am a volunteer with Kelly's Cookies in Roseville. We are a nonprofit bakery that mentors and employs local at-risk youth and youth who have recently aged out of the foster care system. That means that once a foster care child turns 18 years old and becomes an adult, a lot of times there's not a lot of opportunities for them past what has already been given to them. So in many cases, unfortunately, and even in our community here, many become homeless, many are without employment, and many are without income, just sometimes overnight. And me volunteering with Kelly's, I was completely unaware of this until I started working with Kelly. So our bakery takes some of those youth and helps them with employment, and we help them learn valuable job skills, and many of them have gone on to find more solid and long-term employment in the community. So we really appreciate what all of you have done for us today, and that's this donation. You know, we have basically two sources of income. One is our cookie sales. We have a small retail location in Roseville, and we have our online sales. But our cookie sales are not enough really to keep everything going. So it's donations like the one that you're making today that really keep us alive and help us continue and help us work with these young people. So I can tell you Kelly is very good at stretching the dollar. So whatever you give us, we make it work as well as we possibly can. So thank you so much for this. We really appreciate it.
And Levi, I am honored to present you with a $1,000 check for your endeavor. Thank you. Thank you for the work you do. Oh, yes, then, well, everybody has the cookie radar, right? But the cookies are at the Kelly's Cookies table. And so a reminder, we are closed on Tuesday because it's 4th of July, and the two groups that normally meet on Tuesday will not meet that day. So stay home and have some nice 4th of July cake, or what do people eat? Hot dogs. Hot dogs. Okay. All right. Okay.
All right. And remember, there's many opportunities that and activities that foster transformation in our lives. Check out our weekly small groups and other offerings. You can go online and check all those things out. Or if you're in person, you can go to the bulletin board outside and then come to the hub to sign up for an event or just talk to us about other upcoming things.
And so, you know, we come together. One of the reasons we come together, of course, is for spiritual enlightenment, and also we come together for community and for connection. And we have that opportunity right now to connect, and we can all stand and greet each other in the way that we are most comfortable.
we invite you to stay standing and join us in singing our group song, I Am Free, I Am Unlimited, which is actually in the Unity hymnal. We're going to sing it much different than maybe you've heard it. We're going to have a little fun. We're going to get pretty free with this song. You'll have a chance to do that. But for now, we're going to sing it together. Are you ready to have some fun? Yeah? My mom is. That's good. I am free, I am unlimited. Let's sing it together. Please join us. I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited. Right now, right now. I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited. Right now again. I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited. Right now, right now. I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited. Right now, right now. All right, so
Bring it down.
do you know, vocalization, vocal ad-libbing, all that stuff that Ella Fitzgerald used to do? Don't be scared. Now's your chance to have some fun with it. We're gonna do something fun and just sing whatever you want. Like something like that. We're all gonna do it together. Are you ready? Okay. She's looking at me like you're crazy, but you're gonna have fun. We're gonna get free. That's what it's about. Let's go. Here we go. I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited. Right now, right now. I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited. Right now. I am free, I am unlimited right now. I am free, I am unlimited right now. Give yourselves a hand. Please be seated.
Are you feeling free? All right. Let's take a nice deep breath together as we settle into the contemplative portion of our service. And we're going to start by speaking out loud our vision statement. Spiritual Life Center is a loving, vibrant family that welcomes home all people and accepts everyone, no exceptions, weaving ancient spiritual traditions with emerging wisdom. We cultivate a spiritual deepening with the divine, each other, and our planet.
And now we invite you to sing this beautiful meditation chant written by Paula. Let freedom ring. Please join us in singing. Let freedom ring. Let freedom ring. Let freedom ring. In my soul, let freedom ring. Let freedom ring. Let freedom ring. here to be just who I am. Let freedom ring. Let freedom ring. Let freedom ring in my soul. Let freedom ring. Let freedom ring. Let freedom ring. Let freedom ring. Freedom ring. Let freedom ring in my soul. Let freedom ring. I am free to be your voice. I am free. I am free to make a choice. I am free. I am free here to be just who I am. Let freedom ring. Let freedom ring. Let freedom ring in my soul. Let freedom ring.
Let freedom ring. Breathe the sound in. Feel it. Hear it. You might even speak it. Let freedom ring. Please join me on a freedom meditation based on Mary Oliver's poem, The Journey. Let's start by listening to the following excerpt. One day, you finally knew what you had to do and began, though the voices around you kept shouting their bad advice, though the whole house began to tremble, and you felt the old tug at your ankles. Mend my life, each voice cried, but you didn't stop. You knew what you had to do. This poem is not only about recognizing how we can be held captive by listening to the voices of others rather than our own wisdom. I believe it is also about recognizing the false voices within, the ones that tug at our ankles, the ones that haunt and follow us, those voices that keep us stuck in the past or worried about the future. These voices keep us from being truly free. Let's take a freedom journey together. Sit comfortably with your feet grounded deep into Mother Earth, keeping the spine strong and straight and the heart soft. Gently close your eyes. Let go of any thoughts and shift into awareness. Simply be here now. Aware of your breathing. Breathing in. Aware of the in-breath. Breathing out. Aware of the out-breath. In-breath and out-breath. Each time you exhale, notice how relaxed you are becoming. In-breath, out-breath. Totally present. Thoughts may or may not come up, but if thoughts do arise, let them become merely as wind trying to pry with their stiff fingers at your very foundation. They are just wind and cannot grasp onto you. Let them cry out if necessary, but know that it's simply a call for love. And return to the breath. Breathe in. Breathe out. Move forward on your journey. Little by little, leave each voice behind. As you continue your journey, imagine moments of clarity, as if you can visualize stars beginning to burn through sheets of clouds. In these moments of clarity, the stars represent a new voice, which you slowly recognize as your own, keeping you company. You have broken free in the silence. Slowly return to the present. You might wiggle your fingers or toes. Open your eyes when you are ready. Take in a deep breath and let it out with a sigh. Know that you are never alone. You always have that voice keeping you company on your journey. That voice is your own. It is the voice of freedom. You are free. May it be so.
Tortured anymore. God knows secrets. I've come clean with the dark obsessions that haunt haunted my life, and I'm not lonely anymore. I stopped hiding, and I've opened my heart to the passion that burns deep inside. Oh, I'm free, finally free. Oh, I'm free from the pain and confusion thought I'd never be. Oh, I'm free, so free. Made my way through the lies and delusion to this sweet release. I'm free, and I can't explain what life's done for me, with a love that would really believe, with a love that really believes. I'm free. Oh, I'm free. Oh, I'm free. Finally free. Finally free from the pain and confusion thought I'd never be. Oh, I'm free. Oh, I'm free. So free. So free. Made my way through the lies and delusion to this sweet release. Such a sweet release. Such a sweet release. I'm free.
Dad's in the house. Oh, beautiful.
I think thank you is not adequate. Thank you for choosing that song, Paula. I know you said that it was really touching you this week. And then watching the proud parents here just gritting their faces off. I have a confession to make. In the preparation of this talk, I committed a spiritual felony. I pulled the daily word out and I flipped to July 4th. That's right, I looked ahead in the daily word. I have no idea what the ramifications are for this, but I'm going to read it to you so you're in on it now. And we're just going to hope that Reverend James doesn't hear about it. So the Daily Word said this about freedom, because obviously that's why I was looking it up, right? Okay, so it says, living as the divine being I am is the sweetest freedom. Today I celebrate my spiritual freedom. The past has no power over me, and the future is mine to co-create with God. I let go of all that holds me back from living a full and abundant life. This is a new beginning. My prayers affirm my worth and my freedom. I release thoughts and beliefs that bind me. Centered in God, I choose how I will meet life's circumstances. I am freed from seeking the approval or acceptance of others. I am free to be myself. My spiritual self is as infinite as the sky. Like an eagle, I soar through the expanse of consciousness. I have the power to change my thinking, release limitations, and rise above the clouds of circumstance. I am gloriously free. Right, and that pretty much covers it, right? But I've had a few weeks to think about this, and I've had a few weeks to think about freedom, And I realized that we use the word very easily, but it's actually a lot more complicated than we think. And I thought, well, no, complicated isn't really the right word either. But for those of us who were born and reared in the United States, the idea of freedom and living in a free country is just part of our DNA. It's part of who we are. It's just a part of our consciousness. And unless we're activists or politicians, people who are really involved in things at that level, we pretty much just get on with life. And then there's that idea that some people in America have, and I'm afraid more of us do than don't, is that we tend to think we're the only free country in the world. I mean, we're a little self-centered sometimes. There's a lot of free countries in the world. And so obviously you can tell I gave this topic a lot of thought. And of course, a lot of that was because, Independence Day is on Tuesday. But it really got me to thinking about what freedom actually is. Now, we hear stories from people like Nelson Mandela and Mahatma Gandhi who are actually in prison, and they tell their story of how they found their emotional, and spiritual freedom during those times of incarceration. And they're really dramatic stories, and they deliver a wonderful message. And the message that it delivers is that our freedom lies wholly within our consciousness. But unless you have really been there, physically restricted, not able to exercise your free will, how real is that message to you? And we can try to imagine, but if no one has been in prison or enslaved or human trafficked or lived in a country where you could simply go to jail by saying some of the things that we just don't even think about saying, we really can't even get close to understanding what that's like. It's just not there for us. Okay, so that's the broader view of freedom. But there's also that personal and spiritual freedom that the Daily Word is talking about. And so, since so many of us take the general idea of freedom for granted, we might not really appreciate how we tie ourselves up in knots, or how we can discover freedom for ourselves from our knots. The discovery process is essential to our growth. And this came up in a conversation last week. I mentioned that I had known a person at one point who grew up in unity and had, quote, the advantage of being exposed to this way of thinking all their lives. And yet they were one of the most angry, resentful people that I had ever known. Now, of course, we just, those of us who've come into it later, for this is sort of magical, and it's like, why wouldn't you use this? Why wouldn't it work for you? And my take on it was that this person was immersed in the teaching from the beginning, and they didn't have a perspective of something different. And somehow it wasn't working for them. They didn't know the difference. And someone else in the conversation said, right, because they never had a chance to discover that change of consciousness for themselves. And that change of consciousness is what has a direct effect on your life. I'd say the majority of people in this room probably came here at some point in their life, right? They didn't grow up with it. And we hear the stories of someone saying, I put my foot into the courtyard and I was in tears. I knew I was home. Or, there's that discovery. You uncover something. And I have lots of conversations with people, obviously, and one of the coolest things that happens when I'm talking to somebody is when they'll say something like, guess what? You know that thing we were talking about the other day? Well, I was just in my garden working along, and suddenly I saw the answer. Or they'll say, that book I read 3 years ago, now it makes sense. Or they'll come out and say, I finally decided to really focus on what I wanted, and it worked. That moment of discovery, those personal moments of discovery, it's when we discover something for ourselves, that's when we get it. We understand it. We can integrate it and make it a part of us. As long as, someone can yammer at you all day long, but until it becomes your experience, it's not your experience. So again, I will say that self-discovery is essential to our spiritual growth. It's that aha moment that transmutes an idea from intellectual thought to knowing. And then the next step is that knowing becomes being. So what do you need to feel free? What does free mean to you? Okay, so for those of us who take freedom for granted, I think this is a fairly important question. And so I started to do my own inventory. And I imagine that this is what Mandela did when he was coming to his understanding of what freedom really meant to him. So I just started kind of at the beginning, and it's like, for me, well, everyday freedom is being able to set my own schedule, not have to work a rigid work schedule that requires me to be in the same place at the same time every single day. And it means having a job that allows me to do my job without a lot of oversight, or any. I came into doing WOW as an intern. And after a couple of years, Elaine started saying, well, I think maybe we should pay you now, because I guess you're not supposed to be an intern forever. Who knew? My response was, yeah, but if you pay me, you can tell me what to do. And we would laugh, and we would go back to our respective offices. And then they finally actually gave me a title. And there you go. But flexibility is part of being a minister, and so that works for me. And while that flexibility is of utmost importance to me, you might be the kind of person who needs a lot of structure. You might need to know what to expect every day. And oddly, if you're that kind of person and you're in a situation where you don't have that structure, you might not feel free because of the stress it would cause you. It's so individual. Some people see freedom as being able to travel to far-flung destinations as often as they want. Others see it as having time to be alone in the backyard with the hydrangeas and the butterflies. What we don't talk about as much is the fact that wherever you go, whatever you do, there you are. Yeah. Meaning that our internal landscape never leaves us. We carry it around everywhere. And we can be held captive by that landscape. We might feel like we have all of the material freedom in the world, but if we are tied up inside by negative thoughts and emotions, we could travel to the moon and still be stuck in the middle of the situation. So what are these things that get in our way? This beautiful song that Ann and Kayla just sang lists them: anger, weariness. I love this line: lies and delusions, secrets, fear. And then I would add in regret and grief. And of course, the list could go on. And there's many ways that we create that mental and emotional prison for ourselves. And each one of you are the only person who can determine what that is for you. When we read the daily word and proclaim, I release thoughts and beliefs that bind me, it can be very helpful to know what those thoughts and beliefs are. Identifying them allows you to acknowledge and process them and finally release them. And that's one of the reasons we teach the quantum living training here, is because that is a structured way to do that. But we can do it in our personal lives as well. Letting go seems to be so easy. Everywhere you go, right? Let go, let God, let go, let God. And it's like, no, I'm taking that back. I've let go, no, I'm taking it back. Because we have all had experiences that cut to our core. And sometimes we get stuck in that moment. And it's not unusual for someone to discover that something that happened 20 or 30 years ago is still running in the background for them, and perhaps even running them. And I will tell you, this is a personal story that I wasn't sure I was going to tell. But I've done a lot of work on my stuff. I was in therapy at 19. And in 1968, that was kind of a big deal. And I came into Unity at the age of 25. So there's a lot of practice under my belt. And yet, just last week, I was assaulted by a very deep, old emotional wound. And the only thing the only trigger that was necessary was a text with a photograph and one sentence. It threw me completely off balance, and I actually had to take a couple of days to regain my equilibrium, to the point where, like, Patty needed to talk to me about something, and I said, I can't talk on the phone today. This stuff just came roaring up into my consciousness, and at first it really did feel like an emotional assault. But I went with it, and I let myself feel awful. And I took stock of everything that came up and made a mental list of it. I couldn't write it down, but I made a mental list of it. And those were 2 very, very difficult days. But I chose not to reject the experience because I knew if I didn't do it now, it was just going to come back. And yes, I meditated and I prayed, but I wasn't asking for it to be taken away. I looked at it head on. And you know what happened? On the 3rd or 4th day, I don't remember, I woke up and it was gone. The storm was gone. Obviously, the awareness was there, but all of the emotional angst was gone. It was like a fever had broken. And I do have a plaque on my desk at home that says, sometimes God calms the storm, sometimes God lets the storm rage and calms a child. And both of those ways work if you're paying attention and if you're going with it, if you're working with it. I am now free from the emotional chains that bound me to something that happened so very long ago, and I cannot tell you how wonderful that feels. It's just gone. Was it fun? No. Was it easy? No. Was it worth it? Oh, hell yeah. Now, you may be wondering if I engaged in a round of forgiveness. I'm going to forgive those people. I don't do that anymore, and here's why. There's an obscure book that may actually even be out of print now. It's called Oneness, and if you're looking for it, it's got a blue cover. It's a channeled book, and it has some really interesting ideas in it. Now, if we're talking about forgiveness, the whole idea is to take that experience and learn from it and move on. That's what forgiveness really is. But so what this book said is if you want to disengage, which is technically what you're trying to do, if you want to disengage, don't forgive, because the minute you start to forgive something, you're going right back and engaging in that situation. It's like, wow. Forgiving actually can take you back to and re-engage you. And that kind of broke my mind. So then I started working with that, and I read this years ago, and here's what I decided to do with it. I decided to stop forgiving other people, and instead, I started forgiving myself for my part in the situation. I didn't go into, I created this bad metaphysician, that whole thing. I didn't do that. It was just like, no matter what's going on, I have a part in it. Whether I helped create it or not, it's happening with me, so I have a part in it. And so I started forgiving myself for my part in the situation. And amazingly, when I do that, there's nothing else to forgive because I've let go of it. Because I think in many ways we're beating ourselves up. Now, I'm not going to lie, not re-engaging takes a lot of practice. And my success rate is not something I record. But when it works, the emotional and spiritual freedom it brings is such a gift. Life is better. It's easier when we're not carrying all that weight and being angry and defensive and afraid. Daily Word also affirmed, living as the divine being I am is the sweetest freedom. Today, I celebrate my spiritual freedom. The past has no power over me, and the future is mine to co-create with God. Now, that story I just told is a perfect example of what that is saying. Things happened in the past. I still know they happened, but neither the people involved or the experience have any power over me anymore. And see, until last week or the week before, I didn't even realize I was still giving power to the people in that circumstances. I thought I'd put it behind me. Not in an arrogant way. It was just like, okay, that's done. But once it was shown to me, that power that was running underneath dissipated. Emotional and spiritual freedom are interconnected. And I don't think that's even the right word, because when you become emotionally free, your spiritual freedom surfaces, and maybe when you have a spiritual experience, you become more emotionally free. So it's one thing. It's just depending on what direction you're going. And so it's easy to take the idea of freedom for granted until you realize that your real freedom comes from within. And that's the story that Nelson Mandela and some of the others tell. They changed their thinking. And today, I have tried to make that a more personal story, something that's more relatable, that you can use. Now, usually I start anything with looking up the primary words I'm using, and I usually start the talk with that. I looked up what Charles Fillmore had to say in The Revealing Word about freedom. And he says, the quality or state of being without thought or restraint or bondage, limitation or repression, having a sense of complete well-being. It is a result of the regulating of one's life according to principle, not according to what anyone else may think or say. A sense of complete well-being. What a beautiful way to express that quality of life. Can you expect to feel like that all the time? I'm pretty sure the answer to that is no. But you can learn to recognize and appreciate those moments of complete well-being, of being free. And you can also recognize when you don't feel it. And when that happens, you can go on your voyage of discovery. Seek what you are holding that keeps you stuck, and then find ways to let it go. And you don't do it out of a sense of guilt or shame, but because that voyage of discovery leads you to uncover your true divine self. Please remember you are an individual, unique expression of the one true source. And the more of you that you uncover and recognize, the freer you will be, the freer you will feel. So what is freedom? Freedom is discovering and embracing your spiritual self and then letting it ring out into the world. And so it is. Reverend James will return next week. He's been at the Unity Convention, and I believe he was speaking there, so he will be back. He is going to talk about the universe and you, and I will be doing meditation, and we'll have Redalia Kielsen, and hoping Larry will be able to be with us as well, and of course, Soul Light Connection. If you would like someone to pray with you, whether you want to celebrate something or you have a concern, the chaplains are in the courtyard. They wear the white stoles, and they are always happy to sit with you or stand with you and pray. And we also love to welcome our newcomers. And in a moment, I'll ask you to raise your hand. But first, I want you to know there are many ways to become connected at Spiritual Life Center. And one of the ways to do that is to fill out that welcome card. Now, the welcome card is available online. And if you were watching us online, you can go to our website and fill out the card and submit it, and we'll get back to you. If you're here and raise your hand, then we will give you the card. You can fill it out and take it to the welcome table in the courtyard, and they have a special gift and a warm welcome to you. So who do we have as a newcomer today? We're all family again. Well, as Reverend James says, if you're different than you were yesterday, you're a new person, so we're all newcomers. And now we have the opportunity to support Spiritual Life Center. And if you're watching us online, you can text us at SLC Love to 44321. And you can also go to our website, click on Donate, and donate that way. You can also, of course, mail in a donation if you wish to. And we really appreciate the support that keeps this teaching going out farther and farther into the world as you share, like, comment, or subscribe, because this is an important teaching, and we just want it to keep going and going and going. And so for those of us here now, let us take our offering and say our blessing together. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Had it tough when I was just a little kid. It didn't matter what I thought, it didn't matter what I did. I felt the doubt for what I lacked right from the start. It did a number on my head. It could never touch my heart, 'cause I had just enough imagination, just enough to keep the faith that somehow I would think of what to do when I'd get lost in a momentary weakness of emotion. All the angels came around to help me through. Life pulls fast changes, wind blows past pages. All I see is I don't need this. High-strung tightrope walk, ticking time bomb clock. Scratch my name off, cut these chains. I'm free, kicking out of that prison. I am free, singing those words of wisdom. Let it be. Nobody gonna put the blues inside of me. Hey! Yeah, 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 yeah. And in the stress to be the best, I've done it all. I slammed the doors, I've jammed the locks, I've laid the bricks, I've built the wall. No one could tell me back then why joy eluded me. Kept bumping into that misery, locked up deep down inside of me. I took that rage and I turned that page and I packed my tools, went back to school, yeah. And I passed my graduation, I hold my PhD in crash test blues. I pay those dues. I am free, kicking out of that prison. I am free, singing those words of wisdom. Let it be. Nobody gonna put the blues inside of me. Time flies by in photographs and paper scraps and songs. Here I stand in ruby slippers. 3 taps takes me home. Yeah. The blues inside of me. I am free, I am free, I am free, I am free, yes, hey, hey, free. I am free, I am free, hey, yeah, 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 yeah. Time flies by in photographs, in paper scraps.
Yeah, right? We give thanks for the support that comes to Spiritual Life Center. We know that everything that comes in goes back out, the divine circle of giving and receiving that expands our prosperity and the prosperity of all those who give, because that is the divine order. And we also bless the prayers in the prayer box, knowing that before the question is even asked, the answer is here. And the prayer is really the opening up, being ready for that answer in whatever form that it will show. And we send these off to Silent Unity for another 30 days to help solidify that openness and that acceptance of the answer, because we know that it is here right now. And all we have to do is say yes. And so it is. Amen. And now our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, I am, and all is well. Let's sing our peace song. I wish you a freewheeling week. May the joys of the world go with you.
you.